Now in this one I'm going to show you how to make a report, both a simple report and a slightly more complicated one where we're having to work with the queries.
In this clip, I'm going to talk you through making a report. Now, there's really kind of two levels for doing this, and I'm going to try and show you both. There's the very simple, basic putting a report together, but there's the sort of questions you tend to get on these questions from the AAQ course, where really you're having to build a report that's got a certain set of information in it, and it's handling things in a particular way, and it's having to calculate something kind of built into the report itself. So on a simple level, if I'd got this table of positions and I wanted to make it into a nice pretty printout, what I could do is this. I could go to their report wizard, I can click on it and pick table positions and put them both in, press next. It asks me, that's great. Sometimes if there's more, you can alter the grouping of them. Next, choose what you're going to sort it on. I'm going to sort it on the ID, or I'm going to sort it on the name. I'll go for name just so it's different to what you can see behind me on the table. I press next. Columns, tables, justified. Do we want it portrait? Do we want it landscape? What do we want to call it? And we'll call it positions on the pitch. And then you can press finish, and it gives you a basic printout. Now clearly you can go into the design view of that, and you can change the color in that background. You can alter the text on that page, etc, etc, etc. So on terms of your background color, you can go, you can change the kind of contrasts that are there. You can look at the way that the actual page itself is presented, and look at kind of the home thing, and then you can think, well, I want to make it more of a blue background. I want the text to be more kind of white in nature. And so you can tweak around that. You can put a logo in there to kind of positions on a pitch. So you could go right click, and then you could on your format, no, report design, sorry, you could scroll down here and find a picture, insert image. What image do we want to put in? Find something in pictures. I'm not finding anything that's particularly suitable, but say you want to put in that particular logo, and you decide, I'm going to put that logo there on the page. And so there you've got a kind of an idea where you can put positions on a pitch, and you can put a logo in there. Equally, you can control what's in the header. So you can put in, you could change position name to just be name. And you could say, well, I want it to be there in terms of the size. I don't want the field to be anywhere near as big as what I've got the field set. And I'm going to take the position ID, and I'm just going to call that ID number. And you could sit there with that one and think, I'm going to left justify it or right justify it, etc, etc. And then when you go back in, you can throw up the report view and sit there and think, right, that looks nicer. And you can see that 18th of June and page 1 of 1 was down in the footer, but we tweaked and we played around with that report. So that's all easy, straightforward, you controlling the reports, and the reports obviously appear below queries once you've made one, etc. But if you get a question that's saying, I want you to display the surname of the player, their initial, the date of birth, but then I want to know how many positions they've played in, what's the best rating they've got, how many yellow cards they've got, you've got a problem on your hands, because that's not just as easy as taking a table. First of all, you need to get the data together. Now, the only way to get data that's complex in that way together is to go into a query wizard and then build a report off a query. So as always, I go into Simple Query Wizard, and in Simple Query Wizard, I would drop on to, say, my players, and think, I'm going to take through the player's initial, I'm going to take through the player's surname, I'm going to take through the player's date of birth, I might go on to player statistics. Sorry, player statistics. And on player statistics, I might sit there and think, well, I'll put in the player ID just in case we need that. So we've got initial, surname, date of birth there. Now, so then we're into the information that we're really worried about. So these are the ones where we might need to be calculating things. So I'm going to put in their position ID. So we'll keep that one, the position ID. As well as the position ID, I'm going to pull through the number of yellow cards, and I'm going to pull through their rating. And then when I press finish to that, it's given me all that set of information. Now, clearly, I need to work on it to make it give me what I really want to see. So I go into the design view, as always, and I haven't got my group buys, so I click on my totals, so I get my group buys coming up. And then having done that, I say what I want it to do is count the positions, so that for each player it works out how many positions they've got. But let's make sure that actually they've got to have more than one position. Yeah, so if they've not got more than one position, don't bother counting them because they've only got one position in the first place. And then what's the number of yellow cards they've got? We'll do that as a sum where it'll add up how many yellow cards they've got. And what's their rating? We'll do min because the ratings are obviously going from 1 to 5. So 1's the best rating. So I'll go min so it pulls up that piece of information. Now, having done that, I can then save that piece of information. I can then drop into my datasheet view to check what I've got. And I can see I've got now 2 players that have played more than one game, and I can see how many yellow cards they've got, what the lowest rating was or the best rating was, and I can see who those players are, whoever are Islam and whoever S. Garcia are. And then what I can do is take that query, so I can close that query, just be clear which query that was. It must have been that one. Good. Table players query. My fault for not naming it differently. So you could just at this stage right click on that and choose report query 1 so that I know it's the report one that I've done. And then I can go onto my create as before. I can go onto report wizard as before. I can change it to report query 1 as before, throw it all on, next, finish. It's now done the report. It's in an awkward format. When you get hashes like that, what that's telling you is the data is too big for the field it's in. So there I would take the player's surname and make that a chunk smaller, and take the player forename, make that a chunk bigger. I'm moving it there by accident. Make that a bit bigger, and that'll help get rid of that kind of. If I go back to report view, you can now see that they're there. Now clearly I need to spend time like I did before, tidying up the colour, changing the title, thinking about what those titles are, altering whether those are right justified or left justified. But you can build that report in the way you want to build that report. Now, hopefully, that quick explanation has given you a solid working grasp of how to make a report straight off a table, how to make a report off a query, and really preps you for what you need to